There is a fear you were supposed to grow out of. That's what they told you. When you were small and the lights went out, and something in your chest tightened and your eyes searched the corners of the room for something you couldn't name. They said, "You'll grow out of it. It's just your imagination. There's nothing there." But you didn't grow out of it. Not completely. Maybe you learned to hide it better. Maybe you learned to sleep with a light on and call it a preference. Maybe you learned to turn on the television, not because you want to watch anything, but because silence and darkness together feel like too much to hold at once. And somewhere along the way, you stopped asking why. This video is the answer to the question you stopped asking, because the fear of the dark is almost never about the dark. It's about what the dark takes away, and what it leaves behind when everything else is gone. Close your eyes for a moment. Not now. Finish this first. But think about what happens in the minutes before you fall asleep. That specific window of time when the day is over and the room is quiet and there's nothing left to do and nowhere left to be. What happens in that space? For some people, it is peace. The body releasing the weight of the day. The mind going soft and slow toward rest. But for others, and if you are watching this, you probably know which category you belong to, that space is not peaceful. That space is when everything begins. The thoughts that were too fast to catch during the day suddenly slow down enough to land. The worries you outran with busyness finally catch up. The questions you have been postponing since morning arrive all at once in the dark with nowhere left to go. And underneath all of that, something older. Something that doesn't quite have a name. A feeling of exposure, of vulnerability, of being somehow less protected than you were a moment ago when the lights were on. That feeling is not irrational. It is not childish. It is not something you failed to grow out of. It is one of the most human things you can feel. And it has been with our species for longer than language has existed to describe it. But here is what nobody tells you about that feeling. It is not about the dark. It never was. The dark is just the condition that removes everything you use during the day to avoid feeling it. Think about what happens when the lights go out. Your phone goes face down. The screen dims. The notifications stop. The noise that has been running underneath everything. The music, the podcast, the television, the scrolling. All of it stops. And for the first time since you woke up, there's nothing between you and yourself. That is what the dark removes. Not safety, not light, distance. During the day, you have an extraordinary number of tools for maintaining distance from your own interior. Work, social media, conversation, planning, exercise, food, entertainment. The list is almost infinite, and you use it without realizing you're using it. Because the alternative, sitting in the quiet with nothing between you and your own thoughts, is something the body has learned to avoid. And then the dark comes, and the tools disappear, and the distance collapses. And what rushes in to fill that space is everything you have been keeping at arm's length since morning. The conversation that didn't go the way you wanted. The decision you made that you're not sure was right. The relationship that is making you feel something you don't have words for. The future that feels uncertain in a way you can't quite articulate. The past that keeps sending representatives into your present without being invited. All of it arrives in the dark. Not because the dark created it, because the dark is the first moment of the day quiet enough for it to speak. So when you feel fear in the dark, understand this. You are not afraid of the room. You are afraid of what the room has finally become quiet enough to show you. And that is not a failure of courage. That is a very intelligent nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do, protecting you from something that feels threatening. The only problem is that what it's protecting you from is yourself. This one surprises people. But stay with me. Have you ever noticed that the fear of the dark is almost always worse when you are alone? That the same room that terrified you in solitude feels completely manageable when someone else is in it? Most people explain this as simple comfort. The presence of another person makes us feel safer. And that is true. But it is not the whole truth. The deeper truth is this. When another person is in the room, you are not alone with yourself. Their presence gives you something to orient toward. A breathing body that anchors you in the shared physical world. A consciousness that confirms the room is real and ordinary and contains nothing that needs to be feared. But when they are gone, when the relationship ends, or the partner travels, or the children grow up and move out, or the friendship dissolves, the dark becomes something different. It becomes the place where their absence lives. The space beside you in the bed that used to be filled and is now empty. The silence that used to hold someone else's breathing and now holds only yours. And this is where the fear of the dark and the fear of being alone become the same fear. Because the dark is where every absence announces itself most loudly. It is where loneliness has its clearest voice. And for people who have experienced significant loss of a person, of a relationship, of a version of their life they expected to keep, the dark becomes associated with that grief in a way that never fully separates. You turn off the light and the grief is waiting, not dramatically, not in the way of movies, quietly, in the specific weight of a space that once held someone and no longer does. And so the light stays on, not because you are afraid of the dark, but because the dark is where the truth about your life becomes impossible to avoid. There is a specific hour that belongs to this fear. Not midnight, which still carries the energy of the day. Not dawn, which carries the beginning of the next one. 3 in the morning. The hour that belongs to no part of the day. The hour when the world is at its quietest and the mind is at its loudest. If you have ever been awake at 3 in the morning, you know what I mean. The thoughts that arrive at that hour are not the same thoughts you have during the day. They are heavier, more absolute, more certain of the worst possible interpretation of everything. The worry that felt manageable at noon feels unsurvivable at 3. The problem that had possible solutions at 7 in the evening has no solutions at 3 in the morning. The relationship question that was merely concerning becomes catastrophic. The health concern that was worth monitoring becomes terminal. The career uncertainty that was navigable becomes proof of permanent failure. This is not weakness. This is biology. At 3 in the morning, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thought and perspective, is at its lowest level of activity. The amygdala, the part responsible for threat detection and fear response, is running the show almost unchallenged. You are not thinking clearly at 3 in the morning. You are feeling everything at maximum volume with minimum capacity to contextualize it. And the dark is the container for all of it. The dark is where the amygdala holds its court, where every fear gets its audience, where the thoughts you successfully avoided all day finally get their uninterrupted time with you. And the cruelest trick of the 3 a.m. mind is this. It feels like clarity. It feels like you are finally seeing things as they really are, without the comfortable distortions of daylight. Like the dark is showing you the truth that the light was hiding. But it isn't. The 3 a.m. mind is not more honest than the noon mind. It is less equipped. It is running on fear instead of reason, and everything it tells you should be held lightly, not dismissed, but held lightly, until the morning comes and perspective returns, and the catastrophe that seemed inevitable at 3 becomes merely difficult at 8. Here is what the fear of the dark has always been trying to do. It is trying to keep you moving, to keep you stimulated, to keep you oriented toward the outside world where the threats are visible and manageable and can be responded to with action. Because as long as you are looking outward, you don't have to look inward. And looking inward, sitting in the quiet dark with nothing between you and your own interior, is something that a part of you has decided is the most dangerous thing you can do. Not because you are broken, but because at some point in your history, the inside became an unsafe place to be. Maybe it happened in childhood, a home where the nights were unpredictable, where darkness meant the absence of the protection you needed, where what came in the night was not imaginary but real and needed to be prepared for. Maybe it happened later, a loss that arrived at night, a phone call in the dark that changed everything, a night spent alone for the first time after years of company, a nightmare that left a residue that daylight never quite cleaned off. Or maybe it happened so gradually that you can't point to a moment, just years of using light and noise and stimulation as armor against the quiet, until the quiet itself became the enemy. This is what Lacan understood about fear, that it is always pointing at something, that it is never arbitrary, that the object of the fear, the dark in this case, is almost never the real source of the disturbance. The real source is what the dark reveals, the gap between who you are and who you need yourself to be, the grief that has nowhere to go, the questions that have no answers, the self that waits in the silence and has been waiting there, patiently for years. The fear of the dark is not a character flaw. It is a map. And what it is mapping is the territory of everything you have not yet made peace with inside yourself. Here is what I want to offer you. Not a technique, not a method, a different way of understanding what the dark is. The dark is not empty. The dark is full of everything you are when no one is watching and nothing is performing, and the day has finally released its claim on your attention. The dark is where you exist most completely and most honestly, and the fear of it is the fear of that completeness. Every wisdom tradition that has ever addressed the human relationship with darkness has said something similar in different languages, that the dark is not the opposite of light. It is the place where a different kind of seeing becomes possible, where the eyes that were so busy scanning the outside world finally turn inward, where the noise stops long enough for something quieter and older and more essential to be heard. Whatever you believe about the nature of that quiet, and the name for it belongs to you alone, there is something in that darkness that is not threatening. Something that has been with you since before you had language for it. A presence that does not require the lights to be on to know you are there. The dark does not erase you. It reveals you. And what it reveals, when you finally stop running from it, is not the monster you feared. It is the self you have been avoiding, quieter than you expected, more intact than you feared, still here, after everything. The invitation of the dark is not to conquer your fear. It is to sit with it long enough to discover what is on the other side. And what is on the other side of the fear of the dark is not more darkness. It is you. Finally still, finally quiet, finally home. Before you go, Think about the last time you were truly in the dark. No phone, no screen, no background noise, just you and the silence. What came up that you weren't ready to face? Drop one word in the comments, just one. You don't need to explain it. I'll read every single one. And the next video might be about exactly what you left there.